Overall, it appears that TAVERAS has become more trouble than he is worth. What's up, Rangers fans, and welcome to the Talking Texas Rangers podcast. I'm your host, Larry Lease. And without further ado, let's dive into the latest headlines from around Globe Life Field. We're going to start off with a Rangers injury update, which, in a rare turn of events, is actually surprisingly good news. Texas Ranger fans have come to expect some form of unfortunate injury news every other day or so this season. Texas injured list looks far too similar to their actual World Series roster from last year, and it's honestly kind of a miracle that they are only 5 games below 500 after unfortunately getting swept by the Mariners over the weekend. While that trend did continue over the weekend with an update on one of their better hitters this season, the Rangers also got some promising injury news on 2 core pieces of their roster that gives hope Texas is finally starting to get healthy. Josh Young has been snake-bitten by fluke injuries in the majors, and unfortunately, his broken wrist, after getting hit by a pitch, has kept him out for quite a while after suffering a setback. The good news, though, is that he has finally started his injury rehab assignment in the minor leagues, where he played well, 2 for 3 and an RBI, in his return over the weekend. While that is great news for the Rangers, given that Young could be back in the next couple of weeks, assuming all goes well, that news isn't good for Josh Smith, who has been surprisingly awesome at the plate for Texas in 2024. Young's return, combined with Smith dealing with general tightness, will make finding playing time for Smith a bit more of a challenge. Thankfully, Smith is also capable of playing in the outfield, and the Rangers are likely to find a way to keep one of their best bats in the lineup. After dealing with multiple issues in his recovery from back surgery, including numbness in his pitching arm during rehab, it finally looks like Max Scherzer will take the mound in the big leagues again in 2024. Before his latest rehab start, manager Bruce Bochy indicated that outing could be Scherzer's final rehab, assuming everything went well. After striking out 8 batters and giving up 3 runs across 4.2 innings, there's no indications Scherzer had any issues. Given he pitched over the weekend, a good guess is that fans can expect to see him take the mound against the Orioles later this week. And Josh Sborz is finally starting rehab assignment in what should boost the bullpen. Outside of Kirby Yates and David Robertson, Texas has had one of the worst bullpens in baseball this season, and is pretty desperate need of some good news, which finally came over the weekend. It was reported that Josh Sborz was starting his rehab assignment. Sborz has been out since the beginning of May with a rotator cuff injury, which was a considerable blow because he is a big part of the Rangers' bullpen depth. While Sborz' first appearance back didn't go particularly well as he gave up 2 runs on 2 hits. The important thing is that he got 20 pitches in and his fastball sat in the mid-90s. A certain amount of rust is to be expected given Sborz' lengthy downtime. It might take him several appearances to get his feet back under him, but a return sometime next week isn't out of the question, assuming he doesn't have a setback. And as we look to the trade deadline, one MLB insider has a huge list of needs for the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers have been staying afloat in the AL West despite all the team's injuries this season. But with each passing day, the Seattle Mariners seemingly put more distance between themselves and the rest of the division. The MLB trade deadline is a little over a week away. And while most Ranger fans would love to see GM Chris Young acquire some needed talent before July 30th, Texas would seem unlikely to be major players at this year's deadline. But that doesn't mean the Rangers will sit on their hands over the next few weeks. Though most observers expect the Rangers to be content with the likes of Max Scherzer, Tyler Mahle, Jacob deGrom, and Josh Young returning to the active roster, others expect Texas to make a few moves ahead of the trade deadline. Former general manager and current MLB insider Jim Bowden recently penned an article for The Athletic that included a laundry list of potential trade targets for the Rangers. Bowden views middle relief and a bench bat as the Rangers' 2 biggest needs, and not many fans throughout the Lone Star State would disagree with that. St. Louis Cardinals utility player Brendan Donovan
sharply hit, pass, throws Fires into left field, a base hit. Arenado streaks around third. He will score. Donovan with a multi-hit game, and St. Louis gets that Pirate run right back in the fifth inning. It's 4-1.
Chip Donnie does it again the other direction. Same idea. Last time it was a ground ball through the hole. This time the cutter trying to go in, takes the hands in and drives a line drive through that left side.
So it's been first and third all night.
Washington Nationals outfielder Eddie Rosario and Chicago White Sox outfielders Tommy Pham and Gavin Sheets were among the position players Bowden named possible additions to the Rangers roster. On the relief market, Bowden cited Dylan Floro, TJ McFarland, and Reed Garrett, among others. The Rangers have the back end of their bullpen rather set with David Robertson and Kirby Yates, but adding any one of those pitchers mentioned would definitely give the relief corps a boost during the second half of the 2024 season. Counting on the return of several injured starters is a bold strategy, but given how much the Rangers have invested in Scherzer and DeGrom, it's the prudent approach at this year's trade deadline. While the Texas faithful may not be overly impressed by some of the names that the Rangers plan to target at the deadline, this year's team has a very similar makeup to the one that took home the Commissioner's Trophy last season. This Rangers squad just needs a few tweaks, not an overhaul. And the Rangers might have lost their chance at a division title after their unfortunate sweep by the Mariners. The Texas Rangers had a real chance last weekend to make a statement against the AL West leading Mariners. Texas was only a couple games below 500, and a strong series against Seattle would have closed the gap in the division and put the team in a position where a strong run of play could have resulted in Texas reclaiming their place atop the AL West. Unfortunately, it was not to be. Not only did the Rangers fail to capitalize on the opportunity to make up ground on the Mariners, but Texas got trounced en route to a sweep by Seattle that may have effectively ended any hope of Texas winning the division this year. Then they followed that up with a 14-2 loss at the hands of the New York Mets on Monday night. Look, all of the old adages about baseball being a long season and a lot can happen between now and the end of the year are true in this case. Obviously, the Rangers haven't been eliminated from the playoffs, and it is far from a lock that the Mariners are going to stay hot until the rest of the season. Save your angry emails, your tweets, all hope is not lost, and the Rangers could very well turn things around. However, spotting the Mariners 3 games in the division just from one of the few opportunities you get to play against them and determine your own fate is absolutely brutal. Just like that, Seattle has a 9-game lead in the AL West to help weather any speed bumps they encounter, and it's a lot harder to make up that kind of ground, especially with potentially tough series coming up against the red-hot Mets, Royals, who are better than you think, Brewers, and Orioles soon. Oh, and it isn't like the Rangers are particularly healthy right now either if you've been living under a rock for the last 2 months. All of a sudden, the 7 games that Texas has against the Mariners in September hold a lot more weight to them. While the Rangers should be grateful they will at least have the opportunity late in the season, it may not matter after their 1-5 start against Seattle, in addition to the hole Texas dug itself into through the middle of June. And now we're going to take a look at a familiar face who no longer plays for the Rangers, and that is Jordan Montgomery, and what his contract situation update means for the Rangers in 2025. Ranger fans continue to hope that Jordan Montgomery could make his way back to the team at some point, but that path just got a bit trickier. Amongst everything that the Texas Rangers did or didn't do last offseason, no decision has stood out more than the choice not to bring Jordan Montgomery. While Montgomery hasn't exactly lit the world on fire after signing with the Diamondbacks, he's still a huge reason why the Rangers won the World Series last year, and probably would have been a huge help in 2024, given Texas's rotation injury woes, especially if he had been given a full spring training. Regardless, the die is cast and the Rangers will have to find a way to adapt without Montgomery for at least this year. However, now that a curious provision in Montgomery's contract has been triggered, it is fair to wonder about the odds of Texas reuniting with Montgomery in 2025. Now that Montgomery has made 10 starts for Arizona this year, he officially has a player option worth at least $20 million for 2025, which also has escalators based on the number of starts he makes this year. On the whole, this makes the idea of Montgomery even being able after 2024? Less likely, especially given his horrible struggles this season. Assuming he can't get back on track, taking a guaranteed $20 million for 2025 and trying again with a regular offseason and preseason makes a ton of sense. However, things get more interesting if Montgomery pitches well the rest of the way. Excuse me. Sure, his 6.58 ERA is unsightly, but many believe that he will improve significantly over the course of the season. If that ends up being true, his numbers will even themselves out, and he could decide that he should opt out and try to land the multi-year deal he desired and deserved after his 2023 efforts, especially now that he doesn't carry Scott Boras' baggage after firing him. If that comes to pass, expect the Rangers to be involved. While they had some specific payroll issues that guided their thinking when it came to Montgomery last offseason, Texas has a good amount of money coming off the books after this season and are acutely aware of the value that having depth in their rotation has. Nothing is guaranteed here, but don't think that Monty triggering his player option means it's a lock that he is gone for good. Let me know in the comment section below. Would you try to sign Montgomery back to the Rangers, possibly for a multi-year deal? Let me know. And of course, how much would you pay for him to come back? And if he came back, do you think we would have a little bit better chance of going to the World Series? But now on to our next topic. It's time for the Texas Rangers to get this underperforming player off the roster. We gotta cut bait. With the Texas Rangers nearly halfway through this season, Leody Taveras' offensive struggles do not seem to be going away anytime soon, and it may be time for the team to seriously consider moving on from the outfielder. Last season, the Rangers produced one of the most proficient lineups in MLB. They were near the top of the league in several offensive categories. Due to the Rangers' dominant offense, some players' underwhelming offensive performance went unnoticed because the rest of the team made up for it. However, this year is much different, with the Rangers lineup struggling mightily to generate runs thanks to injuries and poor performances. The team is currently near the bottom of the league in several different categories, which has put them in a bad position. Due to the Rangers' disappointing offensive performance, players who do not perform well at the plate and are getting more attention, with Taveras in particular getting a lot of the blame for what's happened. Although Taveras has always been somewhat of a peaks and valleys hitter, he appears to be having a significantly tougher time getting on base so far this season than he's had previously. Taveras is currently batting an astounding low .211, which is good for 139th out of 151 qualified players, and is also significantly lower than his .266 in 2023. While the Rangers never expected much out of Taveras on the offensive side of things, he's recently become a liability due to his inability to get on base and generate runs. He currently only has 12 RBIs, which is an astonishing low number, especially for an everyday player, and exemplifies how far Taveras has fallen offensively. It unfortunately appears that Taveras is nowhere near close to turning things around, as he has only managed to get on base twice in the past 8 games. While Taveras still remains an exceptional center fielder, arguably one of the best defensive outfielders in the game, it appears it is time for the Rangers front office to seriously consider trading Taveras to another squad in need of defense for anything that might help Texas in 2024. It could be somewhat difficult to find a suitor for Taveras due to how poorly he has performed at the plate so far this season, but the right team with the proper defensive need could be out there. Texas is in desperate need of finding a way to rejuvenate their currently underperforming offense. If the Rangers can get rid of Taveras, this could give Travis Jankowski the opportunity to become an everyday player. While Jankowski is nowhere near an offensive threat compared to most, he would be a definite upgrade over Taveras and seems to have a knack for getting on base. Overall, it appears that Taveras has become more trouble than he is worth, and the Rangers would be better off without him. While Taveras was an instrumental member of the Rangers World Series team and a key contributor to the team's postseason run, it appears that his best days are behind him. The Rangers have enough young talent, including Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford, to cut ties with Taveras and not have to worry much about the consequences. So we leave you with that. Give us your thoughts on the topics we covered in the comment section below, and give us a thumbs up if you like our video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button right down below. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TTRangers. Your support will help this channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, and hopefully one day take this show on the road. We would really love to possibly stream an episode from Globe Life Field, and your support could possibly make that happen. And as always, you can find us on all major podcast platforms, including Good Pods. And with that, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.